And we're live. Welcome to Reality Speaks TV. I'm your host, Sparkle Denise, and I am surrounded by a beautiful guest host today. So good evening and welcome. This is where real people have real talk in real time. So today's is part 4 of our Civic Power series, Local Voices, Local Choices, empowered by Every Voice Utica, the voice behind every voice. So, you want to run for office is the title of this one, right? The reason why I came up with this topic is pretty much, people might be curious on running. Someone told them, hey, have you ever thought about running? But, some people, some of our neighbors might not know what they want to run for, what each role might entail, or possibly have the funds, whatever their concern is. We want to kind of help iron those concerns out today, this evening. So local elections matter. And tonight we're talking about the step it takes to run for city council, mayor, or any other political office, and what every potential candidate should know before they even announce. I'm joined by an amazing panel of leaders who bring experience, insight, and community power to the table. Together, we'll dig deep into what it really means to step into public service and how to stay grounded while leading. Okay. Ooh, so let me just add Brother Courtney here. So here's that. All right. So first, I'll just go around with everybody to introduce themselves. I'll go with order of appearance, what I like to do. And while you introduce yourself, I want you to answer this icebreaker question that I have somewhere around here. Does anybody remember this? Okay. If you could instantly improve one thing about Utica politics, what would it be and why? So I'm going to start with you, Aaron. Introduce yourself. We all know that you're a civic educator, community leader, and civic advocate, and also the vice president of the Oneida County branch NAACP. But I would like you to, just tell us how you feel and tell us a little bit about yourself. Maybe something we don't know about you because you've been current on this series. And while you're doing that, I want you to answer the question: if you could instantly improve one thing about Utica politics, what would it be and why?
Well, thank you so much, Sparkle, for having me on the show again. It's been a pleasure to continue to talk with you and everyone else about civic engagement, and really just like now talking about running for office. That's going to be very important too. And as you just outlined, in addition to all the titles that you have listed out, Sparkle, one thing I would say for people who don't know something about me is that I'm also working on my own civic engagement curriculum, which is essentially a way to help people understand how they could be involved in their society, how they could understand our institutions and systems of government, understand what roles they want to contribute here in society, understand the information that gets presented to them and shown, how they convey information to people, also speaking and talking with each other, mobilizing together, believing in your own power to make positive change, and just a whole lot more here too. And really, it's called Becoming the Change Maker, because I believe that all of us here are change makers. We're capable of making positive change in our society here. And I believe that once we find that one purpose that we all are destined to achieve, then we can all make positive change here together here too as well. And I've been since last year, I have been speaking with different groups of people, like college students, on civic engagement topics too. And I definitely want to continue that even more. I want to continue to speak to more people who are interested in civic engagement, talk to them about my own knowledge and experience as well. So that would be one, to answer that part of your question about one thing that some people might not know about me, is that I'm working on that civic engagement curriculum. And in terms of one thing to improve about our local politics here, I would say making sure that knowing that it's good to collaborate with each other. It's good to know that you don't always have to do things on your own. You don't always have to feel like I got to keep everything to myself. It's really about making sure that, hey, I have this idea. I want to be able to talk to different groups of people about my ideas here and believe that we can all succeed as a society if we all work together here as well, because we can have this feeling of like, oh, I want to do this first, I want to do that first, and get all the credit and the glory and all that stuff. But I would say that it's very important that we all collaborate with each other and just know that it's okay that we can all go to the finish line together, because it's our city, it's our community. And when we all succeed, then we all thrive here.
Okay, great. That's wonderful. I'm really excited to hear about that. Congratulations, what you got started. Um, Heather, that's you.
Hi. So I'm just going to go right into what I'd like to see change. For everyone who knows, I run a platform called Every Voice. Currently, I'm running for office for council at large, so I've been very focused on that right now. But if there was one thing I could change about local politics, it would be that I wish that people would get an information sent to them after election on who their council person is, who their at-large person is, how they represent them, their information, something that can be to educate them on that position. Because when I knock on doors or I talk to anybody and I say I'm running for at-large, most people don't know what that even means and what that does. I think it's really important that the city website clarifies that more. And I think that something needs to be mailed out to everybody too, because they don't know what the council can do on their behalf. And I feel like that's really important. The site's kind of wonky. You'll see like there's different districts and a person represents that district, but the people don't know, am I in that district or not? I feel like there should be something sent to them, at least from the city, that says, hey, this is your representative in your district, and these are 3 other representatives of yours. This is what they do. And that should be kind of outlined on the website as well, because they really don't know what the council does for them. So I feel like if I had one thing, it'd be more of an informational base, better information on what the council does, how to advocate for yourself, how public speaking works. When you do the public comment, like a lot of people think they're going to go in there and people are going to talk back to them. It's not how it works. You get 3 minutes to say all you can, and then you sit down. There's no reaction. There's no thought. No one can say anything. So it's just I think it's more information based, so that people are understand a little bit more. So
That's interesting.
It is. It's a big thing. If you don't know what the people are doing, then how do you ask for help? And it's not that easy. So
yeah, I want to circle back around to that 3-minute part, because I want to know, how do they follow up? How do you even know that your comment had an impact, or whether it did, or am I just wasting my 3 minutes? So we'll circle right about that one. Okay. Senya, welcome. I think you're on mute, Senya. There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I should I don't think I changed anything, but yeah, for those who don't know, my name is Senya Bequee. I'm the lead organizer for Citizen Action of New York, the Central New York chapter. And I think that, I think Aaron and Heather made a lot of good points. I think both of those are things I would also like to see, and sort of like speaking to that. I think just speaking to the idea of like a greater need for civic education and political education, and sort of a transparency of what is done where and who's in charge of what, so that, like Heather was saying, people can have more of an understanding of how like the city actually works. I think that we need to see sort of a narrative shift about how building political engagement, building civic engagement is related, and just it's very similar to building community engagement. It's this, those are interrelated ideas: building culture, building community, building politics, and control over your political outcomes in the city that you live in is something that should be really fundamental to civic participation wherever you are. So I'd like to see that increase in terms of both the narrative change happening and also the city taking more responsibility for like making sure that happens in terms of educating people all the time instead of just sometimes. So.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah. So, Brother Courtney Muhammad, you just in time. We're introducing ourselves. We're telling people who we are. And also, the icebreaker question is, if you could instantly improve one thing about Utica politics, what would it be and why?
Yes, can you hear me? I had to switch from my computer to my phone, so that's how I'm working with it now. So that's not too secure. Once again, my name is Brother Courtney Muhammad, member of the Nation of Islam, and also the owner of the KLL Crooms Becker Center, Business Education and Cultural Activity Center. I greet everyone in the greeting words of peace in Arabic, Assalamu alaikum, peace be unto you. And what would be the first thing I guess you said I would do?
Instantly, like now.
Well, when it comes to politics, so when I look up the definition, or at least one of the definitions of politics, is the art and science of government involving the arrangement of rules and the distribution of power among people. So obviously, politics is corrupt because, I don't know, something happened with my computer. Can y'all hear me still?
I can hear you. I can see you.
Okay. All right. So somehow, let me turn this computer off. Like as soon as I say corrupt, my computer starts melting down. All right. So I won't worry about that. So with that said, I see very clearly that our population is absolutely not informed on what politics is to do. And that comes because the unfortunate understanding is that those who control the politicians don't want the masses to really know that, that's their job, to redistribute and distribute power amongst them, to empower the populace. So the first thing is basically what I did when I was on my campaign run, was to present myself as a different option and to challenge some of the norms that come with politics. And it was received well, but at the same time, because of my late start and the idea of a write-in campaign, which was all deliberate to show people that we do have the power to come into a political structure. And if you have the resources, meaning the people, you can actually start to change the understanding. Meaning this, that most people, they are accustomed to looking to the politician for the power and to make the change. But in reality, it's not the politician. The politician's job is to empower the people to make the change and then work to change the rules. And so that would be the first thing that I would do, start to help individuals to understand that they are the real power here in America because of our Constitution and our Bill of Rights. Unfortunately, there's been people that have been hiding that fact up until this day, that we, the people, are the power behind this nation. And now that has been stolen and robbed from us. And unfortunately, it takes a lot of work to get that back, because when you are powerless and you can only look to those who you believe have power, you kind of shut down your logic in things. And that's what I was confronted with on my run in the mayor's race. So I'll stop right there.
Okay, thank you, Brother Courtney Muhammad. So I'll just dive right on into the questions that I have for you all. So you all's roles in the community are unique, but they're still civically engaging, right? You guys are still civically engaged. So I'll start with you, Heather. This one is, kind of, I guess, depends up to you, right? So you mentioned that you're running for city council at large. Can you please walk us through the steps you personally took for running for city council at large?
Okay. Well, first of all, if anyone is thinking about running at an at-large or in the council, you have to have a party, register with a party. That makes things a lot easier. If you once you decide what you want to be, whether a Democrat, Republican, working families, whatever you want, you will then I would recommend going to that committee and asking for their support, because you will need help petitioning. Petitioning is signatures that you need to even get on the ballot. So before you can even like get moving, campaigning, there's a certain number of signatures you can get. Now you can get those signatures being a party without the committee support, but it's a lot easier if you have the committee support, because their feet on the ground will knock on doors for you and help you get those signatures. So for me, I needed 700 signatures to get on the ballot. And I needed all of them. And those signatures would have to be from Democrats only, because I'm a Democrat. So I needed to go there, go through neighborhoods, collect signatures. And it's not an easy process because people have to be home. It's in the winter. So you're out there knocking on doors, hoping that people will sign for you. Once you get those signatures, you then send them to the BOE, and the BOE will cross-check all of them, not all of them, but most of them. Make sure that they're actual Democrats, their addresses are right, their signatures are right. There's a whole process. Even with the page, you have to fill out the petition page correctly. Once that's all done, it goes to the BOE, and from there you wait, and you get a letter to let you know if you're on the ballot or not. That's pretty much it. But you need to be registered. You need to be registered in New York State. You need to be a party, and you need to collect your signatures to get on the ballot. So.
Okay. So when you say, you know what, you made it sound like I can just drop everything tomorrow and go ahead right on into it. Like,
okay, yeah.
Was it that easy?
Well, you want to go to the Board of Elections and get the Board of Elections calendar that tells you all the steps if you're going to run for office. So they'll let you know in that year what seats are available, when the election is. So that would be the first thing you do, is go to the Board of Elections and get their Board of Elections calendar. And then from there, follow the processes. Pick a party. Make sure you're a registered voter. Make sure you're registered. There are people who try to run that aren't registered. And I do tell people, I do recommend you pick a party and try to hope and let them know so that party can help you get signatures.
So is there a certain time that you can run? Like, say, for example, like I'm living in Rome now, lived here for 2 years. Do I have to be living here for a certain, like, can I move here in January?
As long as you're a registered voter at your address, you could run for council.
Oh, wow. Even if you haven't lived there, that's really good to know. The other question is, in a city like Utica, approximately how many signatures do you need to get on the ballot?
It depends on the party and what position you're going for. So like some only need like 250 signatures. Some people, for me, it's a citywide, so I needed over 700. But you want to get more than 700 because a lot of them may not be good signatures. People may sign at a house that's not that person they say they are. So I did over 1,000. I think it ended up being around 1,600 signatures. So.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You also get, if other people are running, they'll help carry your petitions and help you out. So if you're with a party, usually they will help you carry your petitions and help you get signatures. You can also put out friends and family who will go out and help collect, but they also have to be that part as well. They have to be registered. Yeah. So for example, I'm a Democrat, so I would have to have all registered Democrats collecting signatures for me.
Okay, so the people collecting also have to be of the same political.
That's why it's good if you can work with your party. They're already registered. They're already on the committee, so they're set to go. So you don't have anything to worry about.
Do you have a campaign manager?
My 9-year-old son. He is. He's good. He makes sure I have snacks and water before I go on all my little campaign thing. He's mine. I've been doing this for a while, and so I got it down. I know what I need to do. I don't mean that in I just go. But I do recommend though, if you are not aware, to maybe get someone who is that can help you. I do recommend that. But no, my son he's great. He feeds
Oh,
me.
campaign Kaz.
Yeah, he's
Campaign
great.
Kaz.
Kaz does it.
Right.
So,
Priceless.
keeps me
Okay,
fine.
we're gonna circle right. Thank you for sharing. We're gonna circle right back around. Do any of you have any questions for Heather? That's on the panel with us. Also, for our listening audience, please don't be shy. Drop a comment here. We're gonna read it. We're gonna engage with it, like we usually do at the end of the segment, because we have a full house today, and I want to move right on along. But we're encouraging people's feedback, questions, comments. This is the time. If you ever thought about running for office or running for something, run for something. You know, even if it's what is it, like a PTA president in the schools or anything, just run for something. All right, so moving right along. Aaron, thank you, Heather. From your lens as NAACP vice president and project manager, what's the biggest barrier you see keeping new candidates from running?
It's understanding the process of running for office. That would be one big barrier. And what I mean by that is just, as Heather was pointing out, the signatures they have to get, knowing those requirements, also knowing like what the Board of Elections will say too, and then building those relationships like with the political party leaders that you're running under as well. Like, in addition to all that she was saying, it's also really building that relationship with like the whole community that you're running in as well. That would be one thing to keep in mind, is that when you're running for office, it's really about mobilizing people together around your campaign. It's really letting them know, saying like, this is your vision of how you want to improve the community that you're in, and how you will work with people to make that happen here too, and why you would be the better choice out of all the other candidates running for office, why you would be the better choice for that public office position too as well. And it's really another thing too is money as well. Now, depending on, again, which office you're running for, if it's like small as the common council, or some local office to as big as national office, state or national office too. Another thing is just really, it's about money too. It's really, fundraising is also a critical component as well when it comes to running for office, is because you got to pay for your equipment, you got to pay for staff, you got to pay for all like media advertisements. There's a whole bunch of things that need to get paid for as well. And when you have people like saying like, hey, please donate to my campaign, well, this is where all this money is going towards as well. And people can choose whether or not to donate to your campaign. It's their money. You can't force them to do so. But I would say that would be another barrier, is the fundraising too as well. Is just, you really got to make sure that you are able to adequately convey like your reasons for running for office and being persuasive, so that you can increase the chances of people donating to your campaign as well. So those are like two big barriers I'm seeing, is just making sure you're having the relationship with important community members and leaders, and making sure that you're able to fundraise a lot of money for your campaign.
Okay. I didn't think about fundraising. I mean, I was hoping that, I ran for city council at large back in 22, and I was hoping that my campaign manager was here tonight, Freddie Hamilton. We pretty much ran that on a shoestring budget. But Brother Courtney, the next question is for you. Thank you, Aaron. As a former mayoral candidate, what did running citywide teach you about both the opportunities and challenges of leadership? And I just want to mention that Brother Courtney, Heather mentioned, joining a political party, and you ran in as a unique candidate. I want to hear a lot about that experience as well, because that's usually not the normalcy. So I'm all about being eccentric and doing things that that are not normal. So well, I want to say not normal, but that are unique and not what usually everyone else is doing. So the question is, as a former mayoral candidate, what did running citywide teach you about both the opportunities and challenges of leadership?
I mean, one of the opportunities was that you got a chance to meet the diverse population here, and get a chance to see where they are. You know, look at how you can possibly unite the different groups here locally. You know, not play politics as usual, because I didn't run as a Democrat or a Republican, I just ran as myself, which gave me the ability to not hold any hard lines for a particular party, but just to speak to the needs and the wants of the diverse communities. So citywide, not being locked into a particular district or side of town, and embracing all the different areas, it felt more natural. It felt more achievable because you had a chance to really listen to people, not necessarily just the divisions within the districts and how the common council gets down. That was definitely a plus, and an opportunity. And even though I did not win, because I was in the race and I was allowed to do the debates and I was seen on television and and heard on radio, many people got a chance to hear a different angle at politics. And from what I can see, it was truly embraced. You know, the biggest thing I got was, why'd you wait so long and why didn't you get on the ballot? And I said, well, it was all part of inspiration. The drawback is that certain communities truly depend on politics. And unfortunately, that's just not the way of America. You really have to have some power in your diverse community to even move the needle with politics in this particular climate that we're in. So the negative is the most disempowered, disenfranchised, and those that were in most need were those who had the least voice and the least power to make a change. And unfortunately, it was very clear to me that if, say, I did get in, I could not use the regular political channels to change anything because they were already set. I would literally have to use, as some would say, the bully pulpit or the belief system that people had, that a mayor has power, and use that to empower the people. So unfortunately, many folks that should be a part of what goes on in Utica are not a part of it, and they don't really look to be a part of it. They look for someone else to do the work. So I'll leave it with that.
Okay. Wow. Thank you. I appreciate that. So I wanted to, you know what? I'll save the questions that Lakeisha Jordan. She has 2 questions for us, and she's watching from Facebook. Thank you for watching, Lakeisha. Really appreciate you and you being here. We'll circle back around to you, Brother Courtney. I did have a question for you. Before I do circle back around to you, did you have a campaign manager?
No, I didn't. You know, I would say that God was my campaign manager. I have to be real soft shoe on that one. But I had a strategist, which is different, totally different than a campaign manager. We kind of like put our group together, didn't have a campaign manager, had a strategist that kind of like ran the program. And when I say strategist, meaning because we didn't have the funds and we weren't looking to raise them, because we're not a part of a particular party and we were not on the ballot, we had to move in a different way. And with that said, I got someone that seemed to be understanding of the terrain and understood what we would need to do at the last minute to climb this mountain. And so that changed the need for a campaign manager, because when you only do it in a month and a half, there's not much that the campaign manager can do. At least in my estimation, since this is all new for me.
Right.
But the strategist, with truth, it was really a number of people that believed in me and believed that there needed to be a change, and felt that, you know, good, bad, or ugly, what we would bring to the table would make a change and would make some waves. So we were all in, even to the point where, as like I said, the strategists before the primary said that we were going to skip over the primary and we will go right to the time whereas all of the signs go up, where the climate kind of changes, where people go back to school and people are looking for all the political signs to go up. We will jump in then instead of, you know, doing a long, drawn out, expensive campaign. So it was all about strategy. Then the idea of running a write-in campaign, we had those barriers and hurdles that we had to overcome, which on one side could be seen as a negative, but it also helped to launch the uniqueness and show the power that we have as citizens here to make a change.
Wow. Okay. All right. And Senya, thank you, Brother Courtney.
Yeah.
From an organizer's perspective, Senya, what makes a candidate truly community rooted?
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, great. From an organizer perspective, what makes a candidate community rooted? Well, I think like as Brother Courtney just referenced, we see that a lot of the people who are the most disenfranchised, the most disconnected from politics are the ones who are in the greatest need and need to be participating the most, actually. And what we often see is that as people who are organizers and trying to like recruit people who are politically motivated, we tend to rely on people who are already likely to vote or already politically active or already like have voted in past elections. These are like the trends that organizers look at when they're deciding like who to target in terms of like looking across a city or a state or something like that. So a lot of the times the people who are the most effort is made to reach out to are the people who are already politically active, politically aware, paying attention. And that's definitely one of the biggest issues any candidate who's trying to reach like a new group of people, a larger group of people than what's typically active has to be aware of and trying to organize. And so I think what shows like real grassroots like support is like the enthusiasm from the ground up, bottom up, whether that's in, for example, we just saw in the New York City mayoral primary, everybody's talking about Zoran Mamdani. You saw them have something like 50,000 volunteers on their campaign. That's a tremendous sign of grassroots support, is people like flocking to your campaign to join, to be a part of what you're doing because they believe in a larger movement. They believe in what's going on beyond like politics as usual and what it is that you're going for. So you need to be able to connect to people, have a message that they believe in, and then be able to, sort of showcase that you are a viable candidate and that what you're selling is actually realistic. So I think, we often talk about people and money being like the ways we organize power, right? So I think a large group of people, a large volunteer base is a great indicator of grassroots support, as of course is like more like small donations, right? Individual contributions to your campaign. Some people like to rely on big donors to make very large contributions and then have a lot of influence over your political strategy. And then another way is to have grassroots support from the ground up from individual donors and stuff like that. So I'd say organized money and organized people are the strongest indicators of actual grassroots enthusiasm in your candidacy.
Okay, thank you, Senya. So I'm wondering, how do you get grassroots support? Because I feel like for me, it was just, I was the root and I was walking in the grass barefoot trying to get some, like, how does one establish grassroots support? Like, if you say, somebody's empowered or inspired by this conversation, what would be the first step that they would take to actually gain that grassroots support?
Well, I got it. So I think that starting out with a message that's relatable to the people that you're trying to reach is very powerful. Whether it's something about, again, I'm going back to what's been on my mind a lot, is the Mom Dottie campaign, which was emphasizing affordability in one of the country's most expensive areas to live in, right? So that's something that's going to resonate with people because it connects with their everyday lived reality. So you have to find a way to connect with the target that you're reaching. I see a comment that says, yeah, a whole bunch of door knocking. I like that. Yeah, that's actually a best organized campaign is one that goes and does a lot of talking to people and persuasion and actually selling your candidate, because that shows it shows to the people that you're selling that, like, if you have people who are actually invested in going door to door in, whether it's in like the winter when it's cold or in bad weather or in whatever, people see that and they see that, okay, you must be willing to put something on the line for this for a reason. There must be something in this for you. There must be something that's going to benefit you. And that's why you're doing this. And that's something that works very well for people. And the most effective way to reach people and to change their minds and to convince them of who you are is door to door conversations. But it also requires, like I'm saying, a candidate that people relate to emotionally, with a message that they relate to pragmatically, because it's got to be about both. You got to connect the hearts and the minds, I would say.
Okay. I like that. Thank you. And I want to circle back around. I see Sister Freddie. Can you hear me at all? I see that she's entered, but I don't see where she is on this stage. Sister Freddie, can you please leave and come back in again, if you don't mind? And that time I'm going to highlight Lakeisha. Thank you for watching on Facebook. She wants to know, is the process for all city council members throughout New York? So I guess, Heather, when you were explaining the process, does that apply for all? You know what? I don't know. I will have to look into that and get back to you. But does anyone here know?
I don't want to say yes, it's the same, because in the city it's different. Downstate, some things are a little bit different when you're running for office down there and how things are done. So I would say no, it's not the same throughout the entire state. Definitely not.
Okay, state to state. So check your local state rules about the process, because it just might be different.
Yep, and go to your Board of Elections and ask. That's where you need to go in your county, whatever county you're in.
The other question, Brother Courtney, I don't, how much time in advance should people start preparing to run for office?
I guess it depends on what you're trying to do. As you can hear, I mean, I don't have a lot of faith in the political process and how things are being done in America, with all of the so-called freedoms that we have. Particularly, one of the things that I pointed out is that, those that are voters have to be educated. My brother Sinya explained that when you go to run, it's very, very enticing to go with a party, because it's going to be a very heavy lift to do it without a party. And then when you're dealing with parties that basically have overlooked the disenfranchised already, how do you think that you're going to be able to come into that party and all of a sudden change the flow of something that has been going a certain way for so long? You're going to be rejected if you come too strong with the I need it. So I'm adding on to say that the traditional way of doing things, I think it's done. I mean, we have to come with a new politics. We have to come with something new that starts to empower the people, which means we have to start at a different level. That's the education level. And, means we have to work on the school system. We have to really educate those who are disenfranchised to the power that they have, or to start to empower them or help them to understand how you achieve power to be able to influence politics. And right now, many people run for the office thinking that they're going to make changes. And then what happens is the same people that sent you there are very dissatisfied with what we do. And then we and but that's not the way that politics are supposed to run here in America. So we have some grassroots work to do in order to get the grassroots to get to the table and start to be empowered in real time. There's some communities that have come here to America, got citizenship, and don't even use politics because they're empowering themselves first. And then when they get to a sense of empowerment, then they start to influence politics.
I also want to note, in addition to that question as well, even if you don't plan on like officially filing like paperwork to run for office like in the next year or two, or if you're just unsure of what public office to run for, that doesn't mean you still can't go out in the community and still talk with people and still like get to have them get to know you. Like you could still go to any cultural events or educational events or community discussion events. You could still like lay some foundation for yourself and understand the foundation for the community that you're in right now, to understand like these are the issues that are happening, these are what people are thinking about. That could really like help you like in like say your background research, understand like okay, office and I want to be able to develop a platform for my campaign. I need to make sure it aligns with the interests of my community members too. So like I said, like you could still go out, you can still network with people, you can still build those relationships with them, and like I said, like have people like get to know you as well. And lastly, it also depends on if you're like an insider or outsider. And what I mean by that is like, let's say you're an insider, like you lived in Utica for all of your life, and like a lot of like different people, like different leaders, like they know who you are, and they know like okay, you do care about our society here, you do care about our community here, and you're willing to listen to us. Now, let's say you move to a different city or state, then you would be considered an outsider. Now, you could have some fresh ideas, like you could bring like, hey, this is what worked in my community. I want to see how this will work in the new community that I'm in as well. That could take a little bit more time for people to think about and trust that you're well-intentioned as well. So that's another thing like to think about when you're also thinking about running for office, is that are you also an insider or are you an outsider? And there are different pros and cons to all those things, but you have to just think about like whichever type of like say organizer or candidate that you are, you got to like think about like how can I build those relationships with the community members that I'm in, and have them know like I care about you and I want to make sure that you all succeed, and I want to be able to collaborate with y'all. It goes back to what I said at the beginning of the show, that I'm here to collaborate. I'm not here to tear everything down and just like bring up a new thing without seeing if this will work for you all. I want to be able to hear you out. I want to be able to just see like, can we all work together to get this thing accomplished together here as well? So that's what I'll add into that question, is that you could still at least go out in the community and get to know people.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Aaron.
Can I just say one thing real quick on all of that, if that's okay?
Absolutely.
It's finding something that builds a trust, something that people can trust you with in the community. Mm-hmm. So for example, when I did Every Voice, I did it in a nonpartisan way and gave people the information and let them decide. Like building that kind of like a trust with them, saying, I'm going to give you all this information, I'm going to teach you all of this, and building that without them feeling like you have an agenda or that you're out trying to do something, but kind of building a trust with them and educating them on something. Because anytime someone learns something from you, you gain trust from them. So I think that's really another important thing that works.
Okay, thank you,
yeah.
Heather. And welcome, Sister Freddie Hamilton. You joined us right in time.
Well, I apologize for being late, actually, but I'm glad that I'm here, and I want to listen in for a little while just to make sure that I'm getting the gist of what is being discussed.
Okay. So while you're listening, just know that I have a question for you when we circle back around. And that is, what advice would you give women of color or people of color, women or people of color who are thinking of running but feel intimidated by the process? And I also want to know, what was your first thoughts when I came to you and say, be my campaign manager, I want to run. So we're going to circle right back around to you. So we're going to go again to Heather. Are you with us, Heather? Do you need a moment? Because I can go to some more comments.
No, we're
Really
good.
quick. Okay. Hi, Heather. All right. So the second question for you, because I won't keep us long, is what caught you off guard in the process that others should know about before running? Like, what didn't you expect, but you were like, oh, whoa, and you might want to share with our listening audience?
I don't believe completely in party politics at a local level. I believe that a lot of people want to say, I do at the federal completely, but at a local level, a lot of people want the same things. So I think a lot of people were kind of like, that didn't go in full, like a full Democrat ballot, like good as in a Democrat. I think it's because I went in there going, I'm thinking of all the things that people want, like people want public safety. They want good neighborhoods. They want good roads. So I think that was for me, people were like, wait a minute. I thought, I chose like a neighbor over politics kind of thing so that I could, that was like a kind of like a whoa thing, I guess, for people that I even said to my party, I'm not here for you. I'm here for the people. And I think that was a different thing for them, and a whoa factor, because that's what it is at a local level. It doesn't matter what your party is. We pretty much all want the same exact thing. So I think that was kind of the big thing for me, was that I stood with my party, but at the same time, I stood with everybody at a local level. So, or stand, if that makes sense.
Okay. That does make sense. And Senya, this one is for you. Second question. What role do grassroots organizations play in holding candidates and elected officials accountable? Or can I say, what role do citizen action play in holding candidates and elected officials accountable? I think your mute is your mic.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. So how do we hold candidates accountable? We do that in a variety of ways. So before, let's say a candidate seeks out our endorsement as a political organization, we conduct interviews with them where we have them basically like fill out a questionnaire that asks them some like fundamental questions about what positions they have on various issues and sees how much they align with our values. And then we conduct an interview with them after that questionnaire, where our members can ask them questions, ask them to elaborate or to push deeper on some of the answers that they filled out in the questionnaire about why they support certain things, if they support various legislation that's on our platform or that we believe is necessary for either the state or locally here in the city. And then basically, on the basis of the interview, we decide whether or not to give our endorsement. Pretty common thing that we do. And then after the election, and based on basically that endorsement interview and how much we're deciding to like throw down on the election, we'll go out and be canvassing, doing interviews, doing public engagement, doing all we can to get the candidate elected. But that comes with a like a very unspoken, I was going to say an unspoken agreement, but a pretty direct agreement that you're going to live up to what you said in the interview, and that you're going to live up to the policies that you espoused publicly to us, to our members, when you sought out after our endorsement. And if you don't do that, then we're going to have a problem with that. We're going to, and basically the way we approach that is we start out with, checking in with you, having questions, calling your office, trying to set up times to meet with our staff. And if that does not progress, moving towards more escalatory, showing our displeasure, whether that's holding a protest or holding a press conference, gathering support. It might go as far as canvassing you if you become like that bad. We try to avoid endorsing people who would be so like duplicitous. But I think in that role, we directly play a role in like holding candidates accountable who we've been working with and who've been aware of our ideals and of our positions that we want to see held forth. But then also in case like whenever something happens as an organization that is in the community, that has a large member base, that has the ability to talk about a particular issue, for example, when if we have something like all of the issues with the correctional officers and the state prison abuses that were happening earlier this year, we can go to whether holding a protest or a rally in support of the people who are victims and demanding accountability from elected officials who are in positions of power to do something about it. And also continuing to hold people's feet to the fire when they do something negative for the community, like vote for these federal bills that we've seen, the so-called Big Beautiful Bill that's going to take so much money and funding away from our communities. We try to hold those people accountable by committing to primarying them, challenging them in the next election, finding a candidate to run against them, and to unseat them if we think it's enough of a priority.
Unseat them. Okay. All right. So I guess my question just from me to you is, before joining Citizen Action as the lead organizer, have you yourself ever ran for office? And would you ever if you didn't?
I have not run for office, no. Would I ever? Maybe if somebody convinced me, I could be convinced. But yeah.
Do it. That's not enough.
It's a good start. It's a good start.
It's a good start. Okay, thank you, Senya. So, Sister Freddie, how you feeling? You feeling like you want to answer one question? Brother Courtney, are you with us? All right. So we're going to go with you, Aaron. So I also know, as well as being the vice president of the local NAACP here in Oneida County, you also were very instrumental on Clemmy Harris' campaign. Could you tell us a little bit about what you did there? What was your role, and what did he run for again?
So Dr. Clemmy Harris, he ran for the 22nd Congressional District. I would say like when I graduated from college in 2023, during the summer, I was introduced to Dr. Harris, and I was told by one of my mentors that he was running for Congress in the 22nd Congressional District, and he was looking to build a crew and looking for people to help him out. And then I got to meet him, got to get to talk to him about like his motivations for running for office and the platform that he has as well. And it was really when we were in a restaurant here locally, it was me and a few other people around my age, and we had a conversation, and he like asked us, saying, when was the last time a political candidate invited you to dinner like this and just wanted to have a conversation with you, just wanted to chat. And I said, I've seen politicians and political candidates on TV and at special events, but I've never had this kind of in-depth conversation. So it was like my first time. And I would say that hooked me on to his campaign, because it was really it was really about that grassroots effort that we were like talking about, like all of us on this panel right now were talking about earlier. Is just really talking about that people power, and really just saying that like politics is about hearing from each other. It's really about making sure how we all can succeed as a society here, and making sure that your voices and your opinions are being heard by the people running for office, and that they're considering your interests into account here too as well. So that's what like got me like really hooked on his campaign, was just that moment of like really realizing like, okay, this is how politics needs to be run here. Like this is like someone who follows my own like values here as well. So I started off like volunteering. Like it was really like trying to understand like what type of role I could have here too. Like I was like helping him organize events and helping him network with different community leaders and individuals here in the district, and started off as like director of Gen Z Millennial Outreach, and then expanded to deputy campaign manager. And then during the petition drive, I was leading the petition drive campaign as well. So as the petition drive coordinator as well. So it was like really through all that experience that really like helped me understand like how like the electoral process works and the campaigning process in a really hands-on experience there too as well. So that was like really instrumental in me helping me understand like how to network with people and how to organize and mobilize people together too as well. And then after like Dr. Harris's campaign, I also worked with the New York State Democratic Committee. I worked for them as the constituency organizer in our district, our congressional district, with John Mannion, who's now our congressman as well. And that was also like similar to what I did before, but really just helping like John Mannion understand like how to reach out to people and be able to network and understand like issues that are happening here too as well. So really all that experience was just building that grassroots power, that people power, and knowing that, hey, when you're running for office here, you really need to listen to everybody's concern here, as everybody's concerns here. That's really like what it takes to run for office here, is just having people know that you're accessible and that you're willing to listen to them.
Thank you. Did you say Gen Z Millennial Outreach? That's interesting.
Yeah. So like I said, that was like my first title. And then as I did more work with Dr. Harris's campaign, then that changed into deputy campaign manager too as well. And it was really like because he like one of his pillars was really about reaching out to the Gen Z millennial voters, like the young voters, like the 18 to 35-year-olds. That's what we typically call the young adults in politics. So that's what he was like. I was helping him do as well. We actually one time had a meeting with the Black Student Union at Utica University where he was talking about his campaign there too as well. So that was like one of the things that we did too as well. That was pretty good. It was like a nice informative conversation with them too, just to have them know like they can hear from a political candidate and know that they could be empowered to make their voices heard.
Yeah, I actually learned that while I was running, that Utica University or NBCC students, as long as they're living on campus, can actually vote in the local election. So that was really interesting. Doctor, you said Dr. Clemmy Harris, and do you know what he's a doctor in by any chance? This is just my question.
So he teaches at Utica University. He's the inaugural director of Africana Studies there. So he has, I believe, a PhD in history.
Okay. All right. Have you ever thought about running yourself, Aaron, locally?
Well, I would say I would like to just continue to get to know my community, just continue to understand like all this electoral and campaigning process, because like, I think like conversations like these are very important, and I believe that as we just continue to help like make the process easy to learn and make it easy for people in power to be like, yeah, I want to help everyone understand like what it takes to run for office. I want to understand like what the responsibilities are when you take on a public office role here too as well. So it's really just doing all that type of work here that I'm just like really looking at here too. So I can't make any commitments right now, but
Yeah.
I still want to just be able to continue to get to know my community, just continue to meet people, and just continue to understand this electoral process here too as well, because there's just new things that I'm just learning about different parts of politics every single day, and just knowing how to just keep navigating through all that.
Okay, that sounds great. All right, Brother Courtney, are you? Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah,
All
yes, I
right.
can. Yep.
Thank you, Aaron. So the next question is for you, Brother Courtney. This, what's the first piece of advice? What's the first piece of advice you'll give someone thinking about running for mayor or a citywide office? What's the first piece of advice you would give them?
Don't run, right? Well, I mean, the first thing that I would say, I didn't get into it because I was seeking a position of so-called power. Um, and I would say to people, hey, if somebody is not already working in the community, and then they come to you and ask to be your leader and to be your, the politician or one that represents you, there's some questions there, because if in fact you are not seen doing the work already, what makes me believe that all of a sudden you're going to be able to do the work? And then how do I know, that you're just not a skilled orator, that you can actually fool the people? And so now I have to question, are you doing this for vain reasons because you really believe that you can make a change? Well, let me tell you the changes that you can't make. So I would try to go to the heart of it. Like, what is your reasons for wanting to run for office, and is it realistic that you can make change? And then try to help them to understand what kind of change they can make, and then be very clear about what you're going to run up against. So with that said, it would be like it'd be the other way around, as my brother Aaron said. I would sit them down and have coffee and talk about, what are you really interested in doing that type of job, because it is truly a thankless job. And those that have run in my community in different positions, I would have those conversations with them, and most of them that did have a desire to see change, they got into the position, and then they were rudely awakened to see that what they thought they can do, they couldn't. And then at the same time, the people that put them there, or at least those that wanted to see them in the position in the community, were very dissatisfied. And unfortunately, many of them might not have voted for you or been part of the voting group, but then they're going to be the ones that wear you down quickly. So I would try to give them a realistic view of what they're up against, and to help them to see that, hey, if you really want to see change in community, you have to start to empower the people and make change without being in a position. And then when you get in the position, then you do have individuals that will support you.
Okay, thank you. So my question, so I have written questions, right? But then as we speak, I have these other questions. Brother Courtney, now that you did run, if you were to, well, would you run again?
As people have been asking me, I said that was totally out of inspiration. The same advice that I gave to other people, I definitely looked in the mirror and gave myself advice. And as I said earlier, I wasn't disillusioned at all. I didn't, for a better understand, I didn't know what God was doing with me. So I just leave that on the table as far as my inspiration. But I went along with it. And am I inspired right now to run for office? No, I'm not. Not like I was before.
Okay.
Did I get a good understanding of what is needed? Yes, absolutely. I found out what is needed in order to possibly take office and then move forward with an agenda.
That was my original question. If you were to run again, what would you do differently, distinctively different, being that you did run?
You know, one of the things that was very clear, this is a Democratic city, and this was clearly understood that it's 3-1 Democrat. And so when it comes to the mayor, most cases, the Democratic ticket is going to win. But I don't think people were really paying attention to what was going on locally and what was going on nationally. And so something happened in this election was totally against what was previously understood. One is that, you know, 3-1, most likely if you're a Democrat, you're going to win. If you put, you know, $60,000 to $100,000 into your campaign, guess what? You're going to win. If you're a Republican, it doesn't look good that you're going to beat a Democrat, particularly if a Democrat has the money and then has the boots on the ground. And unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, the Democratic ticket got slaughtered. I was saying to people on the campaign that things are different now. People they're rejecting the polarity of the polls. They're rejecting that. They're moving more independent, more to think for themselves. And what happened was, it was, you know, they call it a mandate, I guess. The Republican ticket won 2-1, and that shocked this area. So just to say that things are changing, I realize there is a place if I do decide to run again, and anyone that has the right ideals can go out there and convince the people if in fact they see that you mean change. And I think if anything, people were looking for a change from the Democratic Party that had been giving a particular look that was away from the conservative look, that they made a decision to make sure that if anybody comes with those ideals or those talking points, that they're not going to get into office here locally. So yeah, I might, if I get inspired, and then I would be I will continue to try to be as wise as I can be to look at the needs of the people and how they're looking at things compared to the national agenda that was put forward here locally.
Okay, thank you. And I just wanted to talk to the mayoral election that a Republican won. So echoing what Heather's saying, I don't think that there should be any. Nobody asked you anything, Alexa. You see what I mean? I got to unplug these things. So
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
All right, I'll keep quiet. So the next question, Freddie Hamilton, are you ready to join us with our question? So the question that I have for you, so first of all, I want you to introduce, you know, I know who you are and I know the many hats that you wear politically and civically. And you're also the president of the local NAACP Oneida County branch. Just real quick, from Aaron and Freddie Hamilton, when you're getting elected for an organization like the NAACP, is there an election for that?
Yes.
I guess there is an election.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's I think the term is for 2 years. There is an election. Okay. The term is for 2 years. Aaron and I are in our second year for this term. So there will be an election at the end of, when is it, Aaron? At the end of next year?
Yeah, so 2026. By the end of 2026, then it'll be like
end of
the terms will be up and different people will come in.
Okay, and you obviously have to be a member.
Yes, you have to be a member, and the elections are handled by the national and then the state organization. So you know the NAACP is a national organization, so that election process is handled both by the national and the state, and And so we followed that process. We go through a process where we elect somebody to really handle the election all the way through, someone from our local, from our branch. And
Okay.
then we just go forward with it.
All right.
Mhm.
Was wondering about that. So my question for you this evening, Sister Freddie Hamilton, first of all, was when I told you back in 2022 that I wanted to run for office, be honest, what was your first initial reaction?
Well, my first initial reaction was that you would be a good candidate just because of who you are. You know, you are a very personable person, and you are sociable. You like being with people and talking with people and questioning people. And so I thought that you would be a good candidate. And actually, we need we need people of color in Utica to run for office. And so, and I've been a Democrat all my life. So there's a part of running for office that I plug into in a different way. And I knew that at that particular time, it was during the pandemic. And so there were special provisions there for getting people out to um, to get signatures and to run. And so I was very pleased to find somebody who was willing to make that type of, really, it is a sacrifice. And so I enjoyed it. I enjoyed doing it. It was a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
But I did an old fashioned type of support for you. I don't think people do that much of that at this anymore, except that
Mm-hmm.
I think that Heather might be doing some of that work. Uh, but I would like to see I would like to see people in Utica, people of color in particular, become a part of the Democratic organization, uh, both at the county level and at the state level. And so, but we have a roadblock here right now in Utica in that um, we really we don't have we we're not able. We have a roadblock in terms of being able to have regular meetings, to have young people come in and learn the process, to learn how to be county committee people, to understand how the organization works. And I don't know that we're going to get very far until we get there. That's going to have to happen. So, and for people to run, I understand that we have had people in Utica, people of color in Utica in the past tried to run as write-in, but I really think write-in is a waste of time because I think you have to be attached to a party to get the number of votes that you really need to get yourself elected, particularly on a citywide basis. Um, so I don't know. I'm probably kind of rambling. So if you have another
Okay.
question,
Yes, I do have another question.
okay.
So for those of who's listening at home who doesn't know, Freddie Hamilton was actually my campaign manager when I ran for city council at large in Utica. And the reason why I'm mentioning that is because when I talked to Aaron off camera, he didn't know that. So I'm only wondering how many people didn't know that a big portion of my success, because Aaron, you mentioned about having money. And
Mhm,
that we didn't have a lot of, right? We pretty much ran on a shoestring budget. So I just wanted
mhm,
to know that the success of what I had, I didn't win that election, but I still won that election because the amount of votes that I got and the way that we ran it under the circumstances that we did run, I would have to say had a lot to do with Freddie Hamilton's knowledge. And that was grassroots. When we talk about grassroots, that was grassroots campaign managing with a professional punch, if I might add.
yeah.
Um, so,
And nobody black had ever gotten that number of votes in Utica that I know of.
oh,
I've asked people who have run, um, people of color who have run in the past, and um, you got quite a few votes. Yeah.
all
Mhm,
right. So thank you for the umpteenth
mhm.
time. So the question I have for you is, what advice would you give to women or people of color who are thinking of running but feel intimidated by the process?
Well, you can't be intimidated by the process because, I hate to say this in this way, but politics is very, very rough. And so once you make up your mind that you're going to do it and you feel like you're doing it for a righteous reason, it's important that you not be intimidated by whatever happens from the people who are your opponents, because all kinds of things can happen. But we need people who are rough and tough enough to stay in the race, not to take it personally. Whatever happens, don't take it personally. Just know that this is what you decided to do and this is your life. And so I would urge any woman of color or any woman, period, and of course the men are always going to run, to consider running for office, and to understand that you do have to build a base. And, you know, I know everybody that's on this call, and I know that everybody's got a base. And so you just have to keep building it. You have to keep building your base and have people understand that some people feel like first you get the attention of the politician and then you give them support, but it's the other way around. You have to build your base. You have to, the people have to know that your vote is going to matter, that you can bring the people out to the polls to support you. And that's a lot of hard work for a really long time. But it's well worth it. And we need it so desperately here in Utica.
All right, thank you. And the other question was, because you actually sat on the council in Utica, and City Heather is running. I ran, but from your experience, what is it on a day-to-day basis? What does it look like? Is it a bunch of meetings? Is it like what is your real role there on the council? Like what is first time candidates?
There are a lot of meetings.
Okay.
So first, let me say my disclaimer is that I was not elected to the council. I was appointed to the council by the former mayor, Robert Palmieri. And at that point, we were close to an election, and the person who should have had that seat was Delvin Moody. And basically, I was a placeholder for Delvin. I served for 9 months on the council to finish the term of Mr. Phillips, Bill Phillips. And it was very interesting. One of the things that I know about our council is that it needs reform, that we council members don't have the support that they need. They don't have staff. They're pretty much, our council pretty much just rubber stamps whatever the mayor wants or says or does. But we need people who really know the law, who really know the power of the council in a city such as Utica. And I admire everybody that take the time to do that. There are only a few people on the council at this point that really take the time to know and understand how the council works. And so that's going to be very important. This election will be very important because we need people to go in there and shake it up and get some reform happening. And it's going to be important for our entire city.
Okay, so this is the question that I have for all of you. And after this question, I want to take some comments. We have a slew of comments here, so I don't want to ignore the people who's been actually corresponding with us through Facebook and YouTube. So the question for you all on the panel is, how can we build a civic culture in Utica that continues beyond election cycles? So like this conversation is an attempt to, you know, wake up some people, or, give them a nudge, like, not just asking for your vote when it's time to vote, but here are some little information in between to help you have a better understanding, because a lot of the time it's just the lack of knowledge. I feel like we don't engage because we don't know how to engage or where to start. So how can we build a civic culture in Utica that continues beyond election cycles?
I wish I knew, Sparkle. I definitely would like to know.
Yeah, it seems as if any ideas, Senya? Like,
Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the name of the game. I think as to how to do that, I think it's a large problem. I think it's a large problem. I think it's an American problem. I think it goes beyond like the city of Utica and the state of New York even. I think that's why we've heard a lot of people on this call talk about civic education and civic engagement and sort of educating the public on what that really means. It really means like having politics be a part of your life, not just something that you check off a box on election day and then forget about for the next 4 years. So having people, that's why I think when we're talking about what we would like to change about Utica, I think just like increased transparency or education on how these political offices and institutions that we're so used to can actually like affect people's lives. One of the things that we're at Citizen Action right now, we're trying to work on a housing campaign to improve the situation for tenants in Utica. Over 50% of Uticans are tenants. Rent has gone up by like 22% in the last few years. Homelessness has gone up by like an insane percent, like 38% over the last 2 years across the state. So we are trying to get this law called Good Cause Eviction Protections passed here in Utica. And the Common Council actually has the ability to pass that. So what we're going to be doing is trying to go door to door, like we were talking about earlier, engage people and get them to sign on to this petition that would tell the Common Council we need this law passed in Utica to benefit tenants. That is an example of like politics affecting day-to-day lives that they would all, like a lot of people, while we're getting a lot of thunder here, a lot of people in Utica, like I said, 50% of Utica is tenants, would stand a lot to benefit from protection from predatory rent increases, protection from retaliatory evictions, protections from, codes of like actually having codes be properly enforced and not being kicked out of your apartment for threatening to go to the codes department or something like that. So these are things that like aren't maybe as sexy and exciting to people as I don't know, like whatever is like politically, like whatever's on like the news, whatever's leading, like what people want to talk about politically in terms of what's capturing people's attention. But if we can find a way to, I think by engaging in campaigns, winning them, and getting results to show to people, like this is what will make your life better, is the way to generally get people to buy in and to decide that it's worth their time to engage. But of course, that's the theory. It's easier said than done. We got to get there. But I think that's what we have to do. We got to engage in wins, get results for people to show them that this is a demonstrable change for the better. And it requires your continued participation, continued engagement, holding elected officials accountable after you voted for them, as opposed to just, again, you've done your job for 4 years and now you can check back in 2028. It's a lot more of a responsibility than that, and it's just part of being an adult in modern society. So
also find out from you, Senya, when is the next Citizen Action gathering, meeting, and then Aaron and Freddie, I'm coming to you next on when the next NAACP meeting is. So the local audience can be aware?
Sure, yeah. So we actually just had our chapter meeting last Thursday. So our next one will be probably at the end of September. But just stay posted or stay tuned to our social media, Facebook, Instagram, and we'll be we'll let you know about the next date. Our next major event is going to be on the 9th of September. We're having a rally in Syracuse where we're going to actually have like a major citizen action announcement that I can't speak too much about. I'm supposed to be very mysterious about it, honestly. But we are recruited for that. We're going to be hopping on a bus to Syracuse for a few hours to hear from a exciting speaker and share some major updates about what we'll be doing next year. So that's going to be on the 9th of September. And again, if anybody's interested in that, stay tuned to our Facebook. We'll be dropping information on how to register for that. And yeah, that's our big event.
Okay, thank you, and I'll be sure to share that too. And Freddie Hamilton, I know you have to go, and Aaron, when is the next NAACP meeting for our local listeners?
Our next in-person meeting, general membership meeting, is September 8th, Monday, September 8th. I think it's going to be at the Veterans Center. Is that right, Aaron?
Yeah, essentially the parish on Broadway, 730 Broadway at 6:00 p.m.
Yes. Yes.
And I understand in November, I saw the commercial, by the way, Aaron and Freddie, about the next fundraising that's happening in November, correct?
Our Freedom Fund dinner, yes.
Our Freedom Fund dinner.
Yes.
And is that going to be in Utica?
Oh, yes. It's at the Irish Cultural Center.
Oh, that's a great place to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're just beginning to go public, so you'll see a lot of information about that.
Okay. Well, stay tuned then. All right. Brother Courtney, are you with us? I see Heather.
Yes, I am.
Okay. So I don't know if you two, before I go to the questions, I'm listening audience, if y'all wanted to answer, how can we build a civic culture in Utica that continues beyond election cycles? Heather or you, Brother Courtney, wanted to speak to that, or I'll just go to the listeners on Facebook that have some comments.
Yeah, I mean, in real time, Senya is speaking to the reality of most of the people don't even vote in America, let alone local elections. So it's a small group of individuals that are even coming out, and you might, kind of get a little bump during the election cycle, but then everybody, for a better word, goes right back to sleep. And so that's a problem. So the way that this has been set up here in America is that we have an informed and educated electorate, citizens that understand their rights and their power. And so somebody has to start to build that. So that's the work that has to be done on the ground, before, after, now, really not being so connected to the process that we forget that there is some real structural problems with what we're dealing with right now. Right. One of the problems that I've seen in as I spoke of it is that people have gone so far left and so far right, that I'm thankful because it's producing people to say, wait a minute, we can't keep on separating ourselves on different ends and never come to the center on anything. We have to start to build I would say like a third political force, not necessarily a party, but a force of individuals, like Heather was saying, not necessarily being a hardliner anywhere, but really speaking to the issues, and then hopefully building a coalition of individuals that really understand the values that need to be in place for everyone in America. And with that said, you have to do that grassroots. You have to do that outside of the political arena. Someone has to come up and understand that, unfortunately, the disenfranchised individuals just don't have the empowerment yet to be able to be a voice in an area that this is designed. nation. So with that said, I'm on the ground doing what I do to try to raise the understanding of people. And one of the things that I wanted to point out is that, I did a breakfast. Aaron helped me to do a breakfast that was very successful with judges, faith leaders, and community leaders in Rome. And one of the judges, when I was just jokingly said, you're going to be a preacher, he said, there's a separation of church and state. And it's unfortunate that that's not true. The way that we understand that is absolutely wrong. The founding fathers were faithful to some type of religion, and they understood that the more, even though we were considered citizens at the time, what they set as a foundation towards a more perfect union is real. So there is a separation of the state directing what the religion or the church will do, but there's nothing that says that God can't be a part of this nation. And that needs to be corrected, and it needs to be taught properly. And the other thing is empowerment. So if politics are to distribute the power and the people who are powerless are left out, we need to start a new educational paradigm. We need to start to look at what we need to do to educate the people to understand their God-given rights, and then where politics fits in with that. So just to say that this is an ongoing struggle to empower our people and give them true knowledge, true understanding, so that they can start to reap the benefits of having a nation that's supposed to be free.
Yeah. Okay, Heather, did you want to add to that question? Thank you, Brother Courtney. I'm going to go to the comments right after this.
I feel like everyone covered everything that I would say, except for I do think that we still need to bring stuff back into the high schools. We need to bring back the Young Common Council so people can, young adults, teenagers can understand how the council works. Those are really important things. I think the city needs to put things out more in a plain language that people could understand. So for example, like anytime I would put legislation out there, I would break it down so people would understand what that actually means. So I think those are some important things to keep carrying through and helping people understand the process along the way afterwards. But I definitely think we're missing civic engagement in the schools for sure.
Yeah,
so it's really important, especially allowing teenagers to know, like they used to have a youth council. So teenagers would be able to go on the youth council, and that would maybe even inspire them to stay local and run. But we don't have anything like that anymore. So people don't really have an understanding of what's going on. The news doesn't cover the council like it used to. The council used to be front page paper. No one knows anything that's happening or understanding. We need better news source. We need things like this that let people come on and talk about issues that are happening and understanding it. And also stop looking at everything on Facebook. You have to, that's the other part too. There's a lot of just not real stuff on Facebook. But other than that, everybody hit everything on that. So
gotcha. Thank you, Heather. So I wanted to go straight to the comments. Lakeisha says, apathy is one of the biggest issues amongst too many communities. People feel hopeless or as if their vote won't make a difference. The other thing was, unfortunately, if the people at the top are the people who put you in office, they will always expect you to deliver on what they expect from you. They expect you to make their priorities your priorities once you get in. And that's sad. What else is going on? Thank you so much, Lakeisha, for watching and for your input. Shy says, some systems are meant to be this way, as divided. The case of running and ever understanding politics is slim to none for most urban communities. The office branches have less invasive applications than that of receiving food stamps or Medicaid. Now that's some food for thought. Okay, thank you, Shy, for your addition. And I would say run, because Senator King didn't even know what a voting block is. The president thinks that the Library of Congress is a children's book entity. So there's that. If this city needs transparency, there's so much money being shared with no real authentic results. Okay. Anybody has anything to say to what Shai is saying in the chat? Got a couple more here. No?
No, she's on point. How could you say she's not? I think Aaron, Heather, I didn't greet you. How you doing, Heather? And Sinya, that becomes the frustration that, here we're powerless. And so the most we could do is make comments about how we're being left out of things. And the reality is that if we do not unify, if we come together, if we don't do the things that are necessary to become empowered first, we're not going to be able to control politics. And that's unfortunate. Now, they say all politics is local, so it's not a lot of wealth that can determine the local elections. It's really those who are empowered and see that their vote does count, or feel that their vote counts. And to Sinya said, there's people that know that the voters, if they don't answer to the voter base, they're going to be out of luck next election. They know this. I got a chance to sit with Bill Phillips on numerous occasions to really understand how Utica gets down. And even though there might have been a lot of bad press against Palmieri, he knew who his voters were. And he knew that the people that might be critical of how he's moving, they really didn't have any power. And so he just continued to do what he does. And the people continue to vote for him. Even they were silent. He didn't get a lot of praise and everything, but the ones that actually vote, they came out and continued to put him in office.
Yeah, for a third term. I thought that was diabolical. And
I didn't. I have a different opinion on that one, but
yeah, please share.
That's another time.
Okay, another time. All right. Lakeisha says, thank you so much, Shai. And thank you for watching. I think that the last gentleman made a phenomenal point when he said people are starting to think for themselves. The upset was only an upset because so many people believe that these parties are a monolith.
Right.
I don't know what monolith is. I have to quickly. Does anybody know what monolith is?
Yeah, singular, but they are definitely a uni party for sure in a different way.
Okay. So she was agreeing with you, Brother Courtney. And when running for office in New York, is it uncommon to seek the perspective of voters from other parties? Well, that's what I was trying to speak to first before that thing chimed in. Was that it seems like there's a lot of cross parties when it came to the mayor. I saw Republican-owned businesses actually, Democratic, registered Democrat businesses and homes actually, had him as a Republican with his lawn sign in their business front or in their. So it seems like when they want to, in this region, cross vote out of parties, they just pretty much do it. They call it the Friends and Families Plan. The other one was from Shai. I have a million ideas. Thank you, Shai, for chiming in. Brilliant mind. And then our final comment for the evening is, has anyone ever considered checking in with community members maybe twice a year to get their feedback, even if you're not in office? Lakeisha, I'm not sure about what feedback are you talking about. Are you talking about just general feedback of how things are flowing? I'm not sure. If you're still listening, please confirm what you meant by that. So that's all I have for us this evening. if anybody else, Aaron, you okay over there?
Well, yeah, I'm good. I mean, I would say it's very important for like politicians who are elected in office to just continue to stay in touch with their constituents, because literally you want to be able to, again, like I talked about before, relationships are important when it comes to politics and any other like professional field that you're in here too as well. You got to think of it. Think of your constituents as like, yeah, we are the ones who gave you the power to do this. Like, hey, we gave you the power to be the mayor. We gave you the power to be a city council person here. Like, we gave you the power to take this public office position here too. We want you to be responsive to like our questions and our feedback, and so that you know like how we're thinking, like what we're thinking about with your job performance and all that stuff too. So I would say it's still important, like we talked about before, maintaining good lines of communication and just improving the transparency so that the constituents know that you are in public office and that you're easily accessible and you're willing to just continue to like, hey, I'm gonna answer your questions and still give you still update you on how I'm doing in office.
Okay. Yeah, got you. Thank you. And Lakeisha comes back to answer our question about what the community feels they are still needing or lacking. Still needing or lacking. I agree with that. That, community leaders should meet just to talk about what needs are not being met or what promises are not being kept. That's a great idea, Lakeisha, and thank you for listening. So Lakeisha Jordan will be on September 7th, and I'll be here with her. We'll be talking about generational effects, long-term effects on generations. And the common saying is that politicians don't care about the community after the elections, which is why I said they should check in. Lakeisha Jordan actually ran for mayor in Alaska, by the way. She's also a civic engager. Yeah, I wanted her here on the call, but then I'm like, you know what? This is local politics, but she's coming on the 7th, and we're going to be picking her brain about what she has to offer. She's a beautiful lady, so look into her. I'm just going to close this segment out. Thank you for our listening audience and everybody, our co-host today, Senya, Brother Courtney, Heather, Aaron, Freddie Hamilton, and myself. Wow. This has been on. I think this is our longest segment, and what a powerful discussion. Thank you to each of my guests for sharing your wisdom, honesty, and vision. And thank you to everyone who tuned in. Remember, civic power doesn't just live in elected officials, it lives in us. Every conversation, every question, every action adds up to change. And we'll be back with part 5 of Civic Power series on Sunday, September 21st. So save the date at 7 p.m. right here on Reality Speaks TV. Until then, stay informed, stay engaged, and as always, this is Real People, Real Talk, and Real Time. Peace and power to you all, and until next time, good night.
Good night. Good night. Hey, did you go off yet?
No, let's hear it.
No, go off here.
All right.